Okay, getting started, I'm going to be making a full-size halter, just a standard full size, but to start with I'm going to show you one of the knots that you're going to need to tie repetitively to make the whole halter, and it's called a blood knot. You can practice this with any length of rope. I'm using a full length of rope here, which is 19 feet for a standard full-size halter. 19 feet of rope, so that's 1 foot 12 inches. 19 of those is what you're going to need to make a full-sized halter. About 18 feet for a cob, 17 to 18 feet for a pony, up to 21 feet for a warm blood size. But we're just going to start with the blood knot to show you, and it's something that ideally you should practice before you actually get into making the halter, because it's really annoying when you can't get it right, and it's worth practicing it and practicing it and practicing it enough to get it really good so that it's very automatic for you before you get started. You want to make a granny knot loop, so you want to bring the loop towards you like this to start with. It's really important that it doesn't go over and above. It's really important that the loop comes down here and that you tie your little starting piece like this. You've got then from your left hand into your right, it comes up into this little love heart. So we're going to refer to the love heart quite a bit when you're tying the blood knot. You look at it, it's a little love heart or a little apple. Once you've got that part, you can then use the other end of the rope. You can use 2 little scraps of rope to practice, doesn't really matter. So to complete the blood knot, we're going to bring this, follow it in up into the love heart here. Don't pull it down tight, leave it nice and loose to start with. We're going to lay it, hold on to it here, we're going to lay it up over the middle of the love heart. Then the knot gets a little bit turned, and you can see then we have an X. We take that tail that we've just done and we go over the bottom part of the X and directly through the middle, underneath the X, up through the love heart. Now this is the part where you need to practice, and you need to practice holding on. You'll notice that my hand hasn't moved from the bottom part of the knot, and I want the integrity and the shape of the knot to stay there in order for that X to then come through. So you'll see that's quite loose, but it is actually the blood knot there. I then need to pull it all together. This is a stiffer rope too, bear in mind. So with a softer rope it's a little easier, but in a lot of ways it's easier to practice with the stiffer rope because you can it doesn't pull out of shape quite as easily. So that's our blood knot, and it should look like an X on both sides. And the beauty of the blood knot is that it doesn't pull loose, it doesn't pull undone if any one part of it gets pulled. It will always pull tight. So I then often, especially with this stiff rope, this is where my pliers come in. I use my pliers to really snug the knot down nice and tight from both sides. Now what I wanted to show you is that a common problem that I see with a lot of halters out there on the market at the moment that are being homemade and sold is that quite often those knots are not being tied correctly. Often people are just doing a double granny knot and tying it off like that and passing that off as a knot on the side of the horse's face. The trouble with that is that it's very unstable. Yes, it will lock down over time, and it will, but it's just not safe. When a horse pulls back, you have 500 kilos of horse pulling on a rope. We hope that doesn't happen, but if and when it does, we know it can. You don't want any part of your halter giving way, especially one part of your halter giving way and it pulling tight on the horse where it shouldn't. So I'm just going to go through that again. Blood knot. Tie your granny knot towards you over the top. Make your love heart. Second part comes up and through, lays over the top, rotates a little bit, forms an X. Notice that my hands are holding things nice and steady. This piece comes down through underneath the X, all the way through. Snug all 4 pieces together. You can pull both sides of the knot back towards the middle, and you'll get a feel for how the knot works and how it forms. This is the part that you need to play around with. Have a go, have a practice, get it really good. You can move the knot too if you need to. You can just push it open and you can shimmy it down. Push it open, shimmy it down. So it's movable. Once you learn how to tie it and once you learn how to work with it, it makes tying the whole halter a lot easier. Trust me.